Open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital, peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
What is on your mind, Cayman? If you are ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Yeah, wonderful welcome to each and everyone as we invite you to be a part of a truly terrific talk today with none other than an excellent company of noted Caribbean economist and advisor, Ms. Marla Dukharan. She'll join us at 12:30. We invite you to be a part of the discussion. The phone lines will be open. Get a chance to hear from not just a very intelligent, eloquent lady, but one with great humility and whose passion and love for the Caribbean and the Cayman is evident in what she says and shares. So we invite you, not just because we're going into the end of the year or an elections in short order in the U.S., but our very own at some point. I mean, is it June? Is it earlier? Well, is it important? Only if we participate. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk today is reminding you.
Avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Email talk today at candw.ky. Let your voice be heard. And now, back to Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, Radio Cayman Talk Today.
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. With a call in the queue, we go straight to you. Welcome. Thanks for sharing.
Good afternoon, Lord Sterling.
How are you, my friend? How are you today?
Boy, I tell you, really one of the Lords of the Rings, boy.
That's a franchise I never watched, I probably won't read the book either, but tell me, man, I like if you and the listeners in particular would allow me to say it, and I hope I say it with the respect that is deserving. I love your love. I like your sincerity and genuineness and the way you present, because it calls us all to find that sense of unity. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Lord Sterling, I want to say something to you. I don't like to talk about politics the way that I used to.
Uh-huh.
When I was very young, because, like I said, I got relatives in other countries that were into politics.
Right.
Even a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And but this is Mr. Brown, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
People respect and recognize that you are willing to, share and say from your perspective. So Mr. Brown is in town and he's on the phone and laying it down.
But whatever, though, it's a little picture that I'm trying to paint. It won't be a Picasso, but no, my great grandfather in Cayman, he was into politics from way, 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 way back. And my grandfather was also elected.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to say no more than that.
Yeah, man.
But now, these people, I want to paint a picture now. These people that decided to come inside my place and take my things, I think it was spying. And I think that Cayman need to do something about spying laws.
Right. That sense of data protection and personal security. But let me ask you, if you would, right, and thank you for a couple of minutes of your time, and after you will probably take a break and then welcome Ms. Marla. But to that point you just made, right, the notion that, you're not into politics now as you once were, I want to ask and then I want to share. Why is that? Why are you, on the individual basis, not so inclined to be in politics now as you once were?
But now, Lord, surely remember the word politics, you know. No, I didn't like it that much a couple of months ago, but I've started to like it more now.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
Not to say that I plan to put my foot and thing like that, but no, I prefer to stay outside the wrestling ring.
Yeah, man. And
but anyway, yeah, while they throw the wrestlers against the ropes and stuff like that, you can still pull his leg at him. you can still pull his leg and make him fall. And then you know how wrestling go, right?
Pull that Ric Flair move, eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. So go ahead. Sorry. Because I was going to say, as we get into it, right? I want to invite you. We have Miss Marla Dukharan. We'll join her in a second, right? But let me invite you to do something that, and again, guide me that I'm not. I'm now into politics more than I was prior, for a number of reasons. We all say, "Oh, we shouldn't be in politics." We go into a church and I hear the pastor talking about there's no place for Christians in politics. I kind of find that that's rather ill-advised, because then if the Christian, and only from that religious perspective, is a person that's Christ-like, honest, has integrity, humility, all the values and virtues that we ascribe to, if you don't have a space for that kind of person in politics, then the opposite must be that you want the person who has none of those characteristics, right? So with that in mind, can I say to you, give strong consideration to be more politically engaged, involved, informed, and astute, whether as a candidate, but certainly, more importantly, as a registered voter who's going to go to the polls and cast that conscious ballot. If the politician is offering you 500, say, man, listen, you better come with 5 billion. And even then, I'm not going to take it and vote for you if you don't have what is worthy. But then don't stop there. So tell me your final thoughts before we take the break, and welcome Ms. Marla.
Yeah, my way of doing things was, like I said, I liked a secret. Secret support can be, but anyway.
Yeah, man.
The thing is, right now, I was never real upfront, because the same people was asking me which side I'm on.
Yeah, man. So you're on the right side, Bobo.
What kind of question that is now? My great-grandfather went into politics, and my grandfather, and I don't want to say no more than that.
That's fine, man. That's fine. Listen, you're smart and you're aware, and like I said, you will continue to share. Hey, thank you. I want you to stay on the line as much. Stay, engaged in our radio discussion when we come back, and if there's something you want to share, just call in or a message or whichever. All right, bro?
Comprende, mi amigo.
Tudo bem, mi amigo. All right, with that, let's pause. Let's take this break, and Ms. Marla Dukharan will be our guest once we return, so stay tuned for Talk Today.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Sign up for a Flow Mania bundle today and enjoy up to 1 gigabyte of lightning fast Wi-Fi speed at home and unlimited 5G mobile data on the go. That's crazy fast speeds that make you go, whoa! Everywhere you are. Flow Mania bundles start at $159 per month. Sign up today in store or online at discoverflow.co. Terms and conditions apply.
This Halloween, prepare for a ghoulishly good time at Cayman Crystal Caves. It's the Halloween costume extravaganza. Come in your best costume and join our competition with categories for both adults and kids. Win prizes like one night at Moritz, a one-year pass to Cayman Crystal Caves for two, and a Stingray City day trip. For just $49, adults can explore the haunted Batcave, enjoy a barbecue buffet, and sip on a complimentary drink. And for the little monsters ages 4 to 12 is just $15, inclusive of a Batcave tour and a Spooky Treats buffet. It all happens on Halloween night from 6:30 to 11 p.m. But don't forget to join us during the day for the pumpkin carving competition starting at 11:30 a.m. For more spooky details, visit CaymanCrystalCaves.com or call 949-2283.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks very much for this distinct privilege and pleasure. I see it as an honor to sit each day and facilitate our conversations as we participate with many, not just through guests who call or attend the studio, but you who listen and share your points. And I'm especially grateful to noted Caribbean economist and advisor, one whose public commentary is not only constructive and timely, but informs and instructs and causes us to at least question. So to Miss Marla Dukharan, welcome. How are you?
Hi, good afternoon, Sterling. Thank you. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
I am, I'm so good today that the only thing better would be out in the heat of Bacchus with a line in my hand and my uncle by my side and my father stirring a fish tea. Well, any better than that, it'll be two of me.
Well, I must join you to do that one day.
Oh man! But only one quick caveat: if you do, you never want to return. It's such a peaceful place, huh?
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But thanks for inviting me on your show again, and I'm looking forward to hearing from your audience and having some lively discussions as usual.
Yeah, and thank you too for being available and accessible. Thank you for sharing with us, so that many times, and I'll be guided by you if you're willing to share, in that as I listen to your public commentary from your presentations at UWI to your publications, it's not just a strong, in my view, Caribbean-centric approach, but it speaks to an evolving geopolitical landscape that even that thing that may happen in a neighboring island or regional sort of space, it actually could affect us on the micro level as well. Now, is that the budding economist with me asking that question, or is that nurtured, positive, enthusiastic sort of individual who wants to see the best in everything?
Maybe both.
More than likely. But I share that to say that as we look at what is happening, and it doesn't matter to which camp we belong when we look at things unfolding from the the environmental perspective or the political landscape or otherwise. These are real things that affect real lives in real time. So as we focus on this discussion today, or with respect to the our own 7 Mile Beach, there were a number of things that I may say, and you can guide me in relation to how we have that, and this is the collective we, the public pundits who have been paid, by politicians to, pontificate, or whether it's that social commentary by someone who had a little bit, too much libation, or whether it's that person who's just clueless but likes to hear the sound of his own voice, right? These are real things that are affecting our lives. So from your perspective, the 7 Mile Beach as we see it, and then the tourism product as, we're sort of engaged in it, is that something that we should just let it be because things come and go, no pun, tides ebb and flow? Or is it something that is so significant that if we don't look at it, we lose so much that it's irreplaceable?
Well, before we get into a discussion on 7 Mile specifically, Stilling, one of the things I would like to highlight is the fact that rising sea levels affects almost every country that has a coastline. I saw an article was it last week, about this property in Ireland that has been there for 200 years. 200 years. And so, of course, the whole issue of setback and proximity to the coastline, and it's on a cliff, right? So it's not at the level of the sea, it is high up, and it's been there for 200 years, and now it's at risk of falling into the sea. Point being that, because I've heard a lot of people have sent a lot of feedback based on the Compass article that cites the economic impact assessment that I did. A lot of people are talking about, they should not have built so close to the sea, and you should have looked at the causes. Now, mind you, the report is not yet public, so I don't know how they know what I said or didn't say in the report. But that aside, the fact is this is an issue that is beyond just the fact that maybe some people have built in a manner that is not very prudent. This is an issue that is affecting properties that have been there for 200 years in some countries, that their erosion has caused these properties to be threatened. So my point is that this is an issue that many countries are dealing with, and it's not an issue that's going to go away. So it is an existential issue that we really have to pay attention, and we have to, and the people who have given me this feedback are correct. We have to look at the causes, and some of the causes are man-made, but like this example of this Irish property I'm telling you about, that property had nothing to do with the fact that the coastline is being eroded in that case. So there are causes as relates to sea level rise that's happening all over the world, but then there are also causes that related to our choices and how we build and so on. The report that I did and the economic impact assessment that I did sought to look at what is the economic contribution to the Cayman Islands economy of 7 Mile Beach. In other words, if there is damage, if there is loss to this zone, what is the likely economic impact? And the reason for doing this kind of analysis, Stilling, I'm sure you will appreciate, is so that we know exactly what we're dealing with. We can say we suspect certain things, or we have a feeling, or we believe, but I believe in numbers, and I believe in doing the analysis and collecting the data so that we can demonstrate very clearly in an objective and fair, unbiased manner as to what exactly do we stand to lose if things continue the way they have been going, and if this area, this zone, continues to suffer from beach erosion. So that's the first thing I want to say. I did not look, I'm an economist, I'm not a marine specialist. I don't look at all the possible causes. I don't look at all the possible solutions. I look at what is the economic impact of this particular area to the economy of the Cayman Islands. Therefore, what do you stand to lose if it's negatively affected? So I just wanted to put that out there to clarify what this is and what this isn't. And from my assessment, and I think the article highlighted some of the numbers, we calculate that 7 Mile Beach contributes about roughly approaching $1 billion annually to the Cayman Islands economy. And it also, that zone, 7 Mile Beach, has properties valued around $6 billion so far. We've calculated the north-south distinction using near Royal Palms as that north-south breakpoint. It's 19.32311 latitude to be specific. And we've calculated that roughly 4.9 or 5 billion is property values on the north of that latitude point, and 1.2 billion to the south. And so that's basically what we're calculating that your country stands to lose should 7 Mile Beach continue to suffer erosion that we're already witnessing. I'll pause there.
No, thank you. And I'm very grateful and to the many who have sort of reached out prior to knowing that you were coming on, and then since we've sort of announced it. I like the interest that people have, and it's not, I don't believe, only because they're environmentally sensitive or they're looking at the political landscape. I think it's without them saying it in a sort of structured way, it's the socio-economic impact of what is transpiring. So the loss in the value of a property, the impact on insurance premiums, to employment, to the environmental. And this is where having you on to share with us objectively and partially from that sort of dispassionate independent view may help us to at least have a conversation and may take some action. Having said that,
I hope so.
Yeah. Let me then ask, because one of the things I do not want to do publicly now, but one that I think keeps running hit, go back to the earlier comment you shared with the property in Ireland. Just earlier this week, I had a chance to chat with a number of individuals that if there were ever such a thing as, apathetic, skeptical, individuals, these people who constantly, by their training, deliberately conscious, they question everything. And I've not yet heard an opinion come out that is laced with anything other than just objectivity. So when it comes to the discussions of sort of climate change and global warming, they're looking at the facts. And there were two things that they found that I would just share with you to see how this might cause many of us to be a little bit lackadaisical in our approach relative to addressing the situation, and if so, how. They looked at graphics that have been put out in the last almost 4 years specifically. I'm hoping they'll make the publication, one that we can see in the public domain. But they found a couple of things. There are a number of properties, one that presumably has been widely circulated with the Statue of Liberty in the US, that showed a pictorial of 100 years, 20 years ago, whatever it was, and then just recently, where the water line seemingly is at the same spot. And then some other properties that have receded, some jurisdictions that are now underwater or at the sea level. And their conclusion is that so much is being shared that people are no longer trusting whether it's generated in Photoshop and, false, but yet the data And the discussions always result in emotive responses without any scientific, accurate, factual discussion on whichever.
Mm-hmm.
I then ask the question, well, look at 7 Mile Beach. For those of you who visit here who know, we've had a number of things transpire. And allegedly, the construction of this structure, seawall, building, being so close and jutting out, how does that impact? Now, without sort of saying too much about the specifics, it's only one individual in that group who has that sort of marine science, geology, whatever background that could sort of speak to that. And her view was simple, that anything that is put into place or something, you're going to have a workaround. So you put your hand over flowing water, it'll flow around, not through. So is there a political and societal will to undo some of the structures, to deploy new technologies that may have been used in other jurisdictions? And they pointed to the Middle East, to parts of Europe where these structures in the sea actually protect the coastline. And the summation and probably consensus of the individuals in the group was simply that we're talking but we're not thinking, and we're doing because of where the money takes us as opposed to what the consequence would be. And if it's not too unfair to you and the listening public, is that part of the challenge, that we're not looking at this as what is good now and in the future, but more as to what is immediate and politically expedient?
Well, I know that some decisions are made based on political expediency in many countries all over the place. I mean, I talk about this all the time, but I don't know whether that's something that's, specific to this case. I can't say.
Right.
But what I will say is that, when I did this economic impact assessment, like I said, the causes of what's happening was much less of a priority in the analysis as opposed to the solutions, because we can debate the causes from now until we no longer have a 7 Mile Beach.
Yes.
The point is, yes, there are causes that can probably be remediated now, but I'm not an expert in looking into that. I was presented with the studies that were done on the possible solutions. And I looked at 3 specific reports, one done by the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, otherwise known as CRIF. So this is a regional institution. So it has nothing to do specifically with Cayman or your government or any, I would say, maybe politically aligned or influential person in Cayman. And this CRIF found, as far back as 2010, their study found that coastal flooding and storm surge accounted for about 45% of total damage potential to the Cayman Islands. So that's almost half of the potential damage to your country is caused by coastal flooding and storm surge. So in other words, not construction, right? There were other reports that mentioned construction activity, and let me see what else. But so this is CRIF, right? CRIF also found in 2010 that beach renourishment will have net economic benefits for Cayman with a cost-benefit ratio of about 0.3%, meaning the benefits will outweigh the cost by about 30%. And there is a significant capacity for averting losses. This was 2010, let me remind you. Now, they did go on in the report to say that as time passes and as damages accumulate, the costs go up. And the likelihood of success of a renourishment intervention could be affected as time passes, as the situation changes, etc., etc. Now, they did talk about the fact that the construction activity and the absence of natural sand renourishment cycles, for example, on 7 Mile Beach, can, add to the storm surge and coastal flooding problem. But they did talk about the fact that, we see a net benefit for beach renourishment. Again, this is an independent agency, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Then you had the Department of Environment of the government of the Cayman Islands that did a study. And then you also had the Danish Hydraulic Institute that did a study. And their findings, all three, spoke to the recommendation and the need for beach renourishment, and also the fact that, as time passes and things change, the likelihood of success and the cost of an intervention the likelihood could decline and the cost could increase over time. So in other words, and this was 2010 that Chris said this. Here we are in 2024, 14 years later, still debating. I think that, of course, the experts are the ones to advise on the best approach, not me. The best approach to save the beach. But from my perspective, I've quantified what you're likely to lose if you do nothing, and also the fact that the longer you wait, the worse it's going to be. And in the end, my conclusion was that you need to do what the experts are saying as it relates to beach renourishment, and you need to do it urgently.
Okay. Well, this is where, sometimes we sit, talk, debate, discuss. We never get to a space where things done. We do have a caller on, Ms. Marla, on the other line. Let's see if we can engage with the callers and get some perspectives there as well.
Sure.
All right. So we go to our phones. We have as our guest, Ms. Marla Dukharan, the noted Caribbean economist and advisor. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hello.
Hey, afternoon. How are you, my friend?
How are you doing?
Awesome, man.
Good day to you guys.
Good afternoon.
I have a question before I make a comment. I'm not going to repeat the figure because I can't remember it directly, but you said it was $1.something billion to the south of 7 Mile Beach.
1.2, yes.
Okay. So was that figure based on revenue that hotels on that stretch bring in, or was that based on building loss?
This is the property value, the estimated property value of properties on 7 Mile Beach, south of the Royal Palms. So I specify the latitude, but that general area south of that, this $1.2 billion is the estimated property value.
Good. So what we're talking about, privately owned, mostly condominiums, right? Because that's what's on that side of the beach. So we talk about privately, mostly owned condominiums besides a few hotels that are on that beach, which is not very much, right? So we talk about property value of privately owned places, right? So I would like to know, how would that be a loss for Cayman based on that? Because in my view, as a Caymanian, right, to go and put back sand on the beach that's going to be washed away, it's a cost to the Cayman people that does not own that property on the beach. So it'll be a far more benefit to the Cayman people, based on your evaluation of what you think that cost, to make the people claim on their insurances, right? Claim on their insurances, and if they can build back up on that side of the beach, build back up at 10 stories or whatever the case may be, because most of those buildings aren't 10 stories. So therefore, they'll be getting more apartments, more condominiums, and wouldn't that then be valued more at that point prior to your evaluation then?
That's an interesting point. So let's think about that. So you're saying that basically if we allow erosion to continue...
No. Excuse me. I'm not saying that we allowed erosion to continue. What I'm saying is something caused erosion. And what caused erosion is simple. And it's a proven fact by just looking at the 7 Mile Beach, right? If you go to any place on the 7 Mile Beach, London House and everywhere else on the 7 Mile Beach that does not have a beach wall and is not close to the beach, they have beach. Any place that there's seawalls that the waves can beat against has no beach. So that automatically tells me that the seawalls and the people that built too close to the beach was the problem. That's why it has eroded, right? So it's a base of common sense. Now, what I'm saying to you is if we go back and put sand back on that beach that we already know has been eroded, it will erode again. So it's wasted money, right? So based on your report, if we do an evaluation on a report, should we then also do a evaluation based on if we were to tear the buildings down, have them claim on their insurances, and the places that can build go up to 10 stories that we will allow back further from the beach, and then work on what we can do with the beach instead of putting sand on the beach that we know is going to wash away without fixing the problem?
But if you tear properties down, as opposed to allowing erosion to continue, how are you going to claim insurance for that if you just tear properties down?
The reason
insurance isn't going to pay for that.
Okay, well, I'll answer that for you right now. So if we leave the buildings the way it is right now, I'm going to emphatically tell you that as the reinsurers will not reinsure those buildings because they're a risk to them. Now the properties has insurance. And if planning department and government condemn the buildings, right, it's an act of God, which means the insurances can be claimed on at this point. But if we continue to wait and the reinsurers refuse to reinsure the buildings because the risk that we have right there now, it's a cost to the Cayman Islands people that do not own those properties. Because
do you know what is the value that these properties will get from the insurance companies if it is declared, by the government to be derelict and condemned, and then a claim is valid? Do you know what is the value that we're looking at versus a 1.2 billion?
To me, that part of it does not matter. And the reason it does not matter to me, because even if they got half of what the property is valued, the property is there, and if they went up 10 stories, they'll get double the value that they already have now. So that figure does not matter to me, because at the end of the day, the Cayman people are the ones that are going to have to pay to put sand on the beach and to continue to pay my children and my grandchildren to put sand on the beach for places that our Caymanians don't own, right? So that is what I'm looking at. And to say that they're bringing in 1 point something billion is not. It may be valued that. That's not a value that's bringing into my country every day, right?
Well, no, we estimated that 7 Mile Beach in its entirety contributes close to $1 billion every year to the economy. But the property values, just to make a distinction in the numbers, the property values we estimate on the southern side at 1.2. But I just want to understand what you're suggesting here. Let's go back to what you're suggesting. If 1.2 divided by 2, so 600 million, you're saying, even if they get half the value from the insurance, you're saying that property owners on the southern end of 7 Mile Beach should go ahead and seek government sort of condemnation of these properties so that they could then collect, let's say, 50 cents on the dollar, half of what their property is currently valued, and that they would then reinvest this 600 million back into rebuilding on the southern end of 7 Mile Beach at 10 stories, you're saying, and you're suggesting that this is going to happen, and this is the solution that you think is better. I just want to be clear that that's what you're saying.
Well, first of all, I'm not saying that they should seek government to condemn the buildings. I'm telling you that government should condemn the buildings based on what's there now. Okay? That's what I'm saying to you. That should be government move right now.
I guess you're making an assumption that they will. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Actually, what our government can do and should do at this moment in time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it leaves us in a hole as the Cayman people to go back and pay for this if they do not do so, right? But if government made the move now and condemned the buildings that need condemnation on that stretch, right? Most of those buildings are not 10 stories high. Most of those buildings are old places. Most of the buildings that were old on 7 Mile Beach has now gone 10 stories, and they obviously go 10 stories for a reason, because you have a smaller footprint with more volume of apartments.
Right. If I might, and in this respectfully, just hold that conversation for a second, take the news. Call if you're able to stay on, Ms. Marla. We can collect our thoughts, and then after the break, We'll come back to it. All right, stay tuned.
The rich flavors of Italy just arrived at Subway. Say ciao to the Italianos. Our 3 new Subway series recipes, carefully crafted with an Italian flair. Try the Hot Shot Italiano for an enticing and zesty touch. The tastier than ever Ultimate BMT, generously stuffed with a mix of ham, pepperoni, and salami. Or go all in with the creamy chicken bacon Alfredo. New Subway series Italianos. Chef-crafted greatness in every bite. Elevate your game only at Subway. Delizioso.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Little Cayman, Cayman Bride.
Cover me. Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
International Day of Climate Action is celebrated every October 24th and is dedicated to raising awareness about the urgent need to address climate change. People in Cayman are joining others around the world to highlight the importance of environmental conservation, promoting sustainable practices, and advocating for policies that address climate issues. In international headlines, 17 people have been killed in an Israeli strike on a school where displaced people were sheltering in the central Gaza Strip. This is according to Palestinian medical officials. The strike came as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Israel had accomplished its objective of effectively dismantling Hamas and that negotiations over a ceasefire and the release of dozens of Israeli hostages would resume in the coming days. Russian President Vladimir Putin has closed a summit of the BRICS bloc of developing countries, praising its role as a counterbalance to what he called the West's perverse methods. The 3-day summit in the city of Kazan was attended by leaders or representatives of some 36 countries, highlighting the failure of U.S.-led efforts to isolate Russia over its actions in Ukraine. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
In the spring and summer of 1978, U.S.-based regional air carrier Red Carpet Airlines was operating non-stop service twice a week between Cayman Brac and the St. Petersburg Clearwater International Airport in Florida, as well as inter-island flights non-stop between Cayman Brac and Grand Cayman, 5 days a week, with both services being flown with twin-engine Convair 440 prop aircraft. By the summer of 1980, Red Carpet was operating direct one-stop service twice a week between Cayman Brac and Tampa International Airport via a stop at Grand Cayman. By the spring of 1982, Red Carpet's successor AeroSun International was continuing to operate Convair 440 service between Cayman Brac and Tampa and Grand Cayman.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thank you very much for joining us, and to Miss Marla Dukharan for being our guest. And as we go back to the caller, thank you, sir, for hanging on and sharing your thoughts with us. Miss Marla, you still there?
Yes, I'm
okay.
here. You hear me?
And sir, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Hey, thanks. And this is where having, in my mind, someone, as Miss Marla shared with us, but you were asking some things. Now, I didn't know whether you want to pick it up there, or Miss Marla, you wanted to maybe be back in first.
I
mean, I think that the caller has an idea of what a possible solution could look like. I just think that any idea like this has to have some hard numbers around it, as opposed to assumptions as to what the government could do in terms of condemning properties and what the insurance will then pay out, etc., etc. And then therefore also what will the owners of the property be willing to do in terms of reinvestment, and whether 10 stories or otherwise. I think in order for this idea to grow legs and to be meaningful, we need to do the necessary assessments and get some numbers behind it. Also, he made a comment about, this is common sense about, all of the properties that have a wall are the ones that no longer have a beach. And so it's common sense that these are the properties that are at fault, if you will, and causing the problem. But again, first of all, my analysis did not focus on what are the causes, but more so on the solutions. But like I highlighted to you the other day, earlier in the conversation, CRIF said since 2010 that 45% of the potential damage to Cayman Islands is simply from storm surge and coastal flooding, which is not related to construction, right? A full 45% of potential damage is related to storm surge and coastal flooding. And I mentioned that property in Ireland that's over 200 years old, sitting on a cliff well above sea level, and is likely to fall into the sea simply because of beach erosion. That has nothing to do with the way that property was built at all. So this is a global phenomenon. And so there are several causes to the problem. To me, we really need to focus on the solution, and my report analyzed the costs of the solutions that were identified by, like I said, CRIF, the Department of Environment, and the DHI, relative to the benefit of doing this beach renourishment. This, when we look at the losses that we are likely to suffer if we don't do it.
Now, could I chime in there 1 second here?
Yes, please.
Based on what you have just said just now, right? So you've said to me just now, or you said to John Public now, that based on what I'm saying, numbers should be done. And that's exactly what I'm saying. Right? Yes. Because Caymanians should not have to lump in and pay for condo owners that built on the beach when they was told not to do so, and they did it anyway, right? why should we and my grandchildren pay for that? Second of all, on your last comments there, you mentioned that there was a report done about beach erosion. It will continue to happen. So why put back sand on the beach when we already know that it's going to be eroded away, right? And we have to continue to do this, okay? So we cannot base our solutions or our findings on a singular-minded report, right? So for Caymanians and Caymanians' sake, we have to do a report, right, okay, that says if we was to condemn the buildings and tear the buildings down and allow the owners that can go up 10 stories, because if you have 24 apartments, right, and now you can have 48, obviously speaking, that'll be double the amount of apartments on the beach and that'll be double the amount of money, right? And looking at the trickle-down effect from construction, and Cayman is construction-based, right? Okay, if you look around the island, tourism, Cayman is development-based, okay? So if we're developing on the 7 Mile Beach and we decide to go up and push the buildings back and go up 10 stories, you'll have more construction, more employment. But now my question will Cayman be employment for who? But that one-sided, I would now say now you'll have more trickle-down effect of money through the economy for Caymanians, based on just saying we, the Caymanians, should tie our grandchildren, children, so sand on the beach, which we already know, based on your comments just a while ago, that we know it's going to be washed away again, right? So why do that? So we cannot draw an opinion, right, based on one report. So a report should be done, and thank you for doing your report, but a report should also be done based on if we removed the buildings, if we allow them to go back up 10 stories, what would be the net benefit to Cayman then, on what would be the outcome of that, right? Whether it be good or bad, negative and positive, okay? But right now we're basing it on one report, and we're saying that we should tie our grandchildren to put sand on the beach, and I don't agree with that, and I'm a Caymanian, and I will stand up against that wholeheartedly, okay?
Well,
because on that side of the beach is no hotels, very few, and there's more condominiums that is on that side versus the other side of 7 Mile Beach, right? So we're basing on a report on property value. And in any way around, if you just look at, I'll name one right now, Le COVID has tore down their old buildings to go up 10 stories. They're obviously doing that because less footprint, more apartments, more money, right? So it's already been done here more than
all
once.
right. Yeah.
We need to do a report based on that before we can make an assumption based on one report saying the loss of X to property owners. I don't agree with that.
Okay. Thanks, Ms. Marla.
Yeah, so, I mean, you might be right in terms of the validity and viability of the solution, but I have a few questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that you agree that a proper economic analysis and getting the numbers around this has to be done before a decision is made, because we don't want to go ahead on just feelings and hypotheticals, right? He said that properties were built where they weren't supposed to be built. Are you saying that properties were built without the proper approvals? That's the first question I had. And the second question I had is you're making an assertion that putting sand on 7 Mile Beach is not a sustainable solution because the sand will get washed away anyway. I did not say that. I said that sea level rise is a global phenomenon, and the CRIF report said that 45% of the damage potential for Cayman is based strictly on storm surge and coastal flooding. I did not say that putting sand is going to end up being lost again. I don't know. I am not a marine expert, but the 3 reports, and it's not just one report, it's 3 reports. It's one done by the CRIF, which is, as I said, an external regional agency that's completely independent, one done by your own government, and one done by the Danish Hydraulic Institute.
Right.
It's 3 of them that have concluded that we need to have this beach renourishment exercise being done. So I think I just wanted to clarify those 3 things.
But thanks, caller, for that. And this is where we get continued discussion. But with respect to the callers, before we take the next caller, Ms. Marla, is there something else you wish to add, or just take the other call?
We can go ahead and take the other call.
Okay, we'll take the next call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for sharing.
Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you, Mom?
Not too bad, and good afternoon to your guest.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Now, what Mr. Lawrence said, some of what Mr. Lawrence said, believe me, I am one of them that believe exactly what he says. Not everything. But I was born and raised here. I'm 72 years of age. We have had Northwesters. We have had bad Northwesters. We have also had hurricanes. We got bad weather during when Gilbert hit Jamaica. These condo owners, I once managed condos, two of them. These condo owners have tons of money, millions and millions of dollars. They come down here and they build or they buy. They buy because they don't want to pay the taxes wherever they come from. We don't have taxes. It's only one charge, and that is it. But when anything have to be done with the condos, and Caymanians try to walk on the beach. This is my beach, they say. They don't think about a watermark or anything, and they drive people off the beach. But when we get bad weather, because they must build them when it's smooth like a lake.
So
and when they and then they don't want Caymanians to come near their beach. Most of them, three-quarters of them.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, though, if I might, and I hear what you're sharing, and I think this is where this becomes increasingly emotive, so with great respect to you. But trying to frame what you're sharing and what we're sensing and looking at the expectation going forward, how do we look at that in light of the substantive question and the discussion now, whether to do something or not, and if we do something, what do we do? Do we spend money, put sand on the beach, with the potential that every X years we're going to spend X, million, 5 million in 5 years? Or do we tear down the buildings and say no more? Do we pack up everybody? So from your perspective, how do we frame all that in light of what we're doing so we get to a viable solution that today's words sustainable and we can pay for it? What do you think?
Dwayne?
Yes, Mom.
You live here.
Yes, Mom.
You know that we have had many storms, many nor'westers. Do you think that these people don't have high insurance on these things? Oh, no. And listen carefully.
Yes, Mom.
Some of them, even the houses that are built on Northwest Point Road, some of them give planning a plan, but they add what they want. They do what they want because planning don't have sufficient staff to inspect these places to see that they're built like the way they should be built or what they give them permission to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Why should we, the island people, pay for people that have moved down here, that got millions of dollars, and we're struggling to survive?
Right. I hear the emotion. I understand the many allegations and suppositions and contentions and innuendo and all that. But at the end of the day, where is the viable solution? And that's why I really welcome Ms. Marla putting out one perspective, right? So, from your perspective, if you wish, if not, we'll take the other one, because I want to hear from you about what do we do and when and how.
No, you don't do anything.
So let it just go.
If they want more beach, let them put back beach.
Okay.
Let them put the sand. Let them put whatever they can put down there.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. And I know there's another caller, Ms. Marla. We can take that, but if you want to share first, let's hear from you.
I would just like to add, I mean, to the caller, thanks for that perspective. I did note from reading the Compass that there was a resident who offered $3 million towards the beach, renourishment.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that the residents have a responsibility to support whatever intervention the experts say is the best. And I think
Mhm.
he's right that we can't just come and want to benefit from being located in a place like that. I think everybody's got a role to play in supporting the solution.
For that, and to the last caller, always love and welcome whenever she shares. So thanks very much for letting us hear from her. As we take this next call, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thank you. I'd just like to ask your guest two questions, and I'll and she can answer at the end of my call, and then I'll just make one statement.
Okay.
So my two questions were, when I read her report in the Compass, I just was wondering, how did she actually base her calculations? Was it on what government could be collecting or what they're actually collecting? And then the other question is, did those studies that she referred to a few minutes ago, did any of them state that the hard structures that are too close to the active beach, if that had, if what could be done with those? And my statement is, and I could be, if I'm wrong, if I've misunderstood it over the years, I apologize, but I think that over the years I've understood that our government had some negotiations with the DART group that they can actually, that government will no longer get to collect the overnight fees, accommodation tax for several years. And in view of that, then I'm just wondering whether that was taken into account with her calculations, and then if it wasn't, and if it's correct, then he owns quite a lot of properties on the 7 Mile Beach. So then you'd think then, okay, what that's another thing that our government's not getting anything from, and we would be, and the government then is probably being asked now to help with the renourishment of the beach.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my.
I got your.
This is my first time calling.
Yeah, and thank you. Don't let it be a stranger. I got your first question. I got your comment. But for some reason, the one in between, the second one, I was trying to make sense of that one.
You mean as in which one in between? The one, my question?
Yeah. Your first question was, what was taken into account the calculations. Your statement was
correct.
In relation to the concessions under the NRA agreement, the FCIE.
Yes.
But what was the second piece?
Yeah, my other point was, she had mentioned earlier, Ms. Marla had mentioned early on that she had looked into several studies. She named the studies, and I was just wondering if anything in those studies had stated anything about with regard to the hard structures that are too close to the active beach, if they...
And the cause and effect.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And don't be a stranger, Call. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Marla, this is, what do you think?
Yeah, so thanks for the questions and comments. So we looked at strictly historical numbers in terms of what the government collects for tourism accommodation tax, as well as other lines of revenue. So it's not hypothetical or projected numbers. We looked at what is actually collected. With respect to, which properties does it apply to or not, I don't have access to the data of tourism accommodation tax by property. I have access to what the government publishes in terms of its tax collection in aggregate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so no, I can't comment on which properties were the ones that accounted for what value or what proportion of the tax collected. So I hope that answers that question. With respect to the question on whether any of these studies mentioned hard structures as causes, to be very honest with you, I don't remember. I'll have to go back and check. And maybe what I could do, Sterling, is go back and check and maybe send you the links to the reports, and you can maybe on another show, respond to the quota.
Right. Okay.
This economic impact assessment that I did was done some months ago, and I read tons of reports for different reasons, not just these, but other reports, other research on various issues related to this economic impact assessment, and I can't remember all.
Right.
So I'll have to go back and check. There was one other question or comment I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, and well, talked about structures. What was this other thing? And then, geez, and I asked her to repeat it for me too.
Gosh, our brains can't hold enough.
And there's a reason why. Susan, do you remember what she said? She's like, no, I wasn't paying attention. She didn't say. No, laughter helps me to learn. Okay, so she asked the question, what, to be look at the TAT. Then the middle part was what it had to do with respect to the structures from the reports. And the third one was under the NRA FCIA agreement, to what extent that's collected. So that's kind of part of the second one.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what is the tourism accommodation tax attributable to individual properties. I don't have that level of granularity of data.
Yeah. You did answer it, but good to expand on it. Yeah. All right, Ms. Marla, we're going to take a break, take the callers when we come back. But thank you for staying on with us. All right.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right. Noted Caribbean economist and advisor, Ms. Marla Dukharan, is our guest. And we certainly invite you to call and share. Stay tuned. Join us after.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Prescription refills made easy at Savannah Pharmacy. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Life's best moments are precious. Taking the time to cherish them with those we love is the most important thing in the world. At Cineco, we've got you covered for all these moments, helping you take care of your health, supporting your family's next move, and making sure those you care about are protected on the road. Visit Cineco.ky today. Cineco. Keeping Cayman covered.
Here's a COC storm tip. Ensure your battery packs and electronic devices are always charged prior to a storm approaching. Keeping your kids entertained during a storm is one thing less you need to worry about. With COC, you've got the power.
There's something new in the neighborhood.
What's new and improved? Eastern Avenue Rubis! Open from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day. Eastern Avenue Rubis is now being operated by your friends at Reflections. Treat yourself at the fully stocked convenience store while the spectacular pump attendants fill your ride with the new state-of-the-art Ultra Tech fuel, which improves fuel economy and optimized performance so you drive longer for less. On the way to an event empty-handed, stop by the Eastern Avenue Rubis to fuel up and grab gift certificates for use at Reflections, Hemp and Tobacco, Food for Less and Liquor for Less, Jose's and Eastern Avenue Rubis. Enjoy better service and better prices at Eastern Avenue Rubis. Now open.
See yourself in Reflections.
Reflections, always driving down prices.
Hey, did you register to vote yet? The final registration deadline to vote in the 2025 general elections will be the 1st of January, 2025. Go to elections.ky to download your registration form. Once you've filled it out, take the form and the originals of all your required documents to the elections office. They're located on West Bay Road in Baytown Office Suites. Or you can even email it to them. Register to vote by January 1st, 2025. For more information, visit elections.ky, call 949-8047, or email office@elections.ky. Your vote is your voice. Make it count.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back and thanks for joining us. And on air, via the phone, studio guests, virtually, is noted Caribbean economist and advisor, Ms. Marla Dukharan. Thank you so much, man. This is great fun. I should have you on more often. My ratings just went, 20. I mean, if I'm not careful, you might make me popular.
I'm happy to come on anytime once we have good data to talk about.
Okay, well, I'll see if I can get a timeline accurate. I should have asked though, just publicly. You've been on since 12:30, and I want you to make sure that we're using your time, appropriately and not imposing too long. So whenever you need to get back to your schedule, not as enjoyable, but scheduled life, let me know, all right?
For sure. I'll
right.
let you know. But for now, you have me.
Those are words. Let me behave. But this is in part why I shared that just then. Is that I want us to be able to come to these discussions, as sobering and serious as they are. They need to be sincere and laced in fact, and recognizing how emotively charged they can be. If it's okay, let's take this next call. There's some things I want to share from some of our listeners that speak to some of the issues that are immediate but maybe more impactful than we understand if we do or don't do. So let's take this next call perhaps.
Sure.
Okay. Hey, welcome. Thanks for sharing.
Hey, Sterling. Good afternoon. Dwayne Ebanks here. How you doing?
Hey, Dom. How are you, man?
And I bet I couldn't stand it.
Sitting and rocking the hammock, my friend.
Yeah, good afternoon to your guests as well.
All right. Thank you, my friend.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, certainly nice listening to the conversation. Nice to have a conversation. I just wanted to, my view on this whole thing is obviously our beaches have been obviously eroding for quite some time back and forth in different areas, and we see the sand obviously drifting up and down in various areas. In some cases, the sand on the beach actually, when it gets shifted, it's not like it's going back out to the drop-off. It seems to be, finding itself on other parcels of land, and in some cases, it breaches what we call the iron shore, and the sand cannot be returned back into the ocean through the natural causes, right? Almost the same way we have most of our graveyards. If you check them out, they have bedrock down on the bottom, but that sand has piled up in that particular area and don't want to leave or can't leave. And in some cases, when the sand gets shifted, we don't go back and say, well, okay, the sand is now up on this end. It cannot find its way back in. We're going to move the sand off of this private property and drop it back, where we assume it came from. That's one theory of looking at it, right? The whole idea of this private and sort of public responsibility of sharing the financial expense of, I guess we'll use the word repairing damage. I don't see why the public has to share the expense when, at the end of the day, when you look at it, obviously we all love the 7 Mile Beach and we'll do anything to keep it pristine as it was. But in this case, a lot of these structures, they need to stand back. They don't have any beach. Their guests not going to know where to go. Obviously, so it's an expense to them that it should be thrown completely on them, in my opinion. Some of the places, we shouldn't be, going out to them and negotiating anything about whether we could share the expense. We should just be sending them a bill and saying, look, here's the bill for this sand to be put back there, whether you like it or not, it's going to be billed, and whether it's going to cost you in your monthly, taxes that we do for, rooms or whatever that's going to be added on. It has to be, in my opinion, should be just billed back to them, and they should be having to front the whole entire cost. That's just my opinion on the whole thing, and I feel like government should have did that, rather than negotiating. They should just send them a bill for $1 billion and saying this is what it costs to put sand back. I certainly would hate to see I'm going to pull sand from some other, jurisdiction where the sand color is totally different. And obviously we have environmental issues going on with the bleaching of the corals. So trying to move sand from the drop-off and then dump it back on the beach. You got all these, so many issues that are concerning when you're putting sand to mix up. It's very disheartening to see that it had to come to this. Because if we were more proactive, we should have forced them to have these setbacks from a long time, whether the planning department did it or not. Some government themselves should have stepped in, but I guess it keeps saying government. It's almost, they've been there 4 years, so it's, hard to use that word. But in my opinion, the whole expense should be back on all of those investors on the 7 Mile Beach. The whole entire financial cost of it should be totally on them. Government should be fully involved, of course, to make sure it's done the proper way. And I know your guest there, she was trying to give her statistics or presented her statistics as to, what the cost and damage is. But, like I said, that was just really my opinion.
Yeah,
I
man.
don't want to go off the topic too much, but I feel that, we the public should not be contributing to it. That the whole entire bill, whatever it adds up to, should be back across the private sector on that 7 Mile Beach, especially the areas where the beach is missing from. Because, if you go down to the Governor's Beach, that place is still looking prestige. The neighbor next door to the hotel next door, the condos next door, they still have beautiful beaches. When you go to those ones right next to the Governor's, you can see that they are set back so far from the water mark that they even have, if they wanted, they had enough space to drop another few pools down by the beach, but they have set themselves back so far, and most of them that are being affected, most of them, I say that because Royal Palm was set back pretty far. I think they have lost pretty much one of the best beaches in some of the biggest beach area we had to see it the way it is right now. But again, I'll pause there and let you guess. But like I said, that's just my personal view on it. And my opinion is that we shouldn't be front none of it. We should just be fully involved, fully control of it. But the whole financial blow should go back to the private sector.
Okay. Thanks very much, and appreciate you listening. Ms. Marla?
Yeah, I think that, so first of all, my report does not comment on who should pay for the beach renourishment. And that's not my place to comment on, to be very honest. This is something for the Caymanian people to take up with their policymakers. I just feel like something needs to be done one way or another. Again, my report was focused on the solutions and what the experts say is the best solution, and I did the analysis of what that costs relative to what could be lost if we don't do something. But I make no comment as to who should pay for that. That's entirely not my place.
And thank you for emphasizing that. And this is perhaps what I was trying initially to say to us, that we get emotionally charged with something, and sometimes we don't appreciate what is before us. So if I might make sure that I understand you correctly, in our discussion looking at your report, we're talking about the socioeconomic impact, not necessarily environmental considerations or cause and effect responsibilities, and that's just separate and distinct from the report. Is that a fair assessment of what we're transpiring?
Yes, exactly. I'm not a scientist, a marine biologist. I don't know about whether we should put sand, where we should put the sand, or what should we put. That's not my area of expertise whatsoever. I just looked at what the experts said is the best solution and what they recommended as a solution. And I looked at the cost of that relative to what you're likely to lose if you don't.
Right. So we know what
about it.
is, and we just need to figure out whether we should and not, and the like. Okay, and that's
Yes.
all right. I'm told we have one other call. Let's join this other one. Hey, welcome. Thank you for sharing.
Good afternoon, Sterling. Good afternoon, you and your panel.
Hey, afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm doing great. However, I am baffled. I am shocked to hear that the 7 Mile Beach, in order to refurbish that, or whatever you want to call it, you look into the government of the Cayman Islands or the people of the Cayman Islands, when you got multi-millionaires and billionaires, one of the examples, if you look at La Covia, they could demolish that whole complex, and now they're going to put up 2 or 3, 10, 12-story buildings, and others, as I understand, is in line to be demolished as well. I am saying this, that it is, to me, it would be a national disgrace for the people or the Cayman Island government to take any stand to talk about financing any part of, yes, it's our island, but who destroyed it? Who really destroyed? Who took advantage of it? They are too big to listen to the people of the Cayman Island that know this island. Right across from me in Barker's Beach, it had a few rocks there and some turtle grass. Now, who has or who did give permission for whoever did it to remove all of these rocks, remove the turtle grass? It is, what's going to happen when you get any kind of a bad weather from the north side, or even anyway? You have nothing to stop the waves from coming in. You don't have any rocks anymore. The turtle grass, a lot of it is moved. So what are we trying to prove? What are we saying to ourselves about this beach in other beaches that is coming in line? As I understand, even East End Beach about digging out a area for swimming or something. What? Listen, man, let's get hold of ourselves. You know, this is what you call self-inflicted things that happen to us. Self-inflicted. And what we're going to do about it, we are going to stoop to these rich people and say, yeah, well, we're going to, come on. We should be bigger and bolder enough and have a little bit of pride within ourselves and say to them, if you destroyed it now, you get on with it.
All right. Thanks for that, sir. Anything else? Or Ms. Marla, from your perspective, what are your thoughts?
Again, I really don't want to comment.
Okay.
I can't comment on who should pay. But certainly if there are private entities that you can directly demonstrate have caused damage to public property, I would imagine that the government, I think there must be laws around, you know, if there is any private entity or private citizen that damages public property or public goods, there must be some consequences for that. I don't know, but this was not part of my analysis of my economic impact report as to who should pay and why. So I really can't comment.
Can I read this verbatim? One comment from a listener, and I'll read it verbatim. This person writes, well, the experts also said sand renourishment as well as managed retreat, but she only mentioned the former in her report. Thoughts on that, and then the notion of managed retreat.
So I have to go back because a previous caller talked about hard structures. I don't recall a cost or a dollar value put on any other recommended solution as the best recommendation coming out of any of these reports. If there was, for example, if CRIF or somebody or the Department of Environment said, here is a proposal for a solution of managed retreat, and this is how much it's going to cost, and this is therefore our recommendation, then I would have evaluated it. So my guess is that there wasn't a specific
Mhm.
cost and attributed or a recommendation around that, but I have to
Right.
check. My recollection is that there wasn't. So, for example, if you say to me, if this report says managed retreat plus breech renourishment, those are the two things we would recommend,
Mhm.
but then you don't give a cost and some specifics around what do you mean by managed retreat, then I can't evaluate it,
Right.
relative to the economic impact of 7 Mile Beach. So if you tell me managed retreat is going to cost $1 billion,
Mhm.
then I'm going to say, wow, that's $1 billion. That's pretty much how much the whole of 7 Mile Beach contributes to GDP every year. That's a pretty high cost. But if you say to me managed retreat costs $1 million, I'll say, hey, sounds like it makes a lot of sense. So, but the whole specifics around what does managed retreat mean and how much
Right.
it costs, that was not apparent in these studies from what I recall.
And to those who are listening, our guest via the phone is Miss Marla Dukharan, and we're talking about the socioeconomic impact of the 7 Mile Beach renourishment. And I share that again, not just for the reminder, but perhaps to ask us as we listen to, and you guys need to make sure I'm respectful, but I'm also responsible in whatever I'm relaying, not to conflate the environmental, political, or even societal implications of doing or not doing with what is before us. We're seeing evidence of the beach perhaps being eroded, and what to do or not to do. So again, if I'm understanding correctly what I hear you have said and what I've read, is we've seen that, and if we don't do anything, leave it as is, this could be the economic implications. If we do something, this is the proposed cost and the timeline, and then the continued effort. Is that again an accurate reflection of what I've read and what I'm understanding?
Yes, for sure. And
Okay.
and on the point specifically of managed retreat,
Mhm.
I mean, it intuitively makes sense that if there is a structure that is definitely causing a problem,
Mhm.
it would make sense to deal with that structure. I would imagine, however, that based on that statistic I shared over and over, that 45% of the potential damage to Cayman Islands is as a result of coastal flooding and storm surge. I would imagine that managed retreat alone, therefore, is probably not the only solution.
Right.
I think you probably need to still, which these reports recommended, that without that replenishment of the sand that then regenerates itself. From what I recall reading in the reports, there is this way that the wave action,
Mhm.
if you add more sand, it regenerates. I would imagine you would need to do both.
Mhm.
Is what intuitively I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because in the absence of the beach renourishment, then you will not have that replenishment, that wave action that automatically regenerates over time.
To you, Miss Marla, my apologies. I did not realize the gentleman that was just on a call was actually still there. So respectful, sir, we'll come back to you and then we'll take a break. I do apologize. I didn't realize you were still on air.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Protect your computers and mobile devices with security software to defend against cyber attacks through viruses, malware, and other online threats. Be aware of unsecure Wi-Fi connections when in public. If you need to access your online banking or sensitive information on your mobile devices, try disabling the Wi-Fi and switching to data from your mobile network. If you suspect a fraud attempt, please contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Freedom, Cayman Rack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Hello, Cayman Islands. I am Shiante Sterling, contestant number 4 in the Miss Teen World Cayman Islands pageant. I'd like to invite you and your friends to join us for this iconic event on Saturday, October 26th at the Art Camana Bay. Doors open 6 p.m. Show starts 7:30. Tickets can be purchased online at ticketplus.ky, at Cell Beauty, Mar Boutique, or any other contestant. See you Saturday, October 26th as we present Passion Plus Purpose, the inaugural Miss Teen World pageant.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Ms. Marla Dukharan for being our guest. Really appreciate tapping into your intellect and your willingness to engage us. So thanks very much. All right.
Hi, Sterling. Are you here? Are you here? I have a lawnmower outside. Are you hearing me?
I am, and when the lawnmower finishes outside, I can direct him to, go other places here. The grass is growing while the horse is starving, so maybe they can mow it for me.
Life as a work from home, right?
Yeah, man, that's it. The gentleman is still on the line, and we have a call after, so let's return to him. I thought we can take him just then. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to be rude or ill-mannered, but what the lady's talking about, this is not a joke, This is not a joke at all. And why it is that you bring in these people that really don't have the experience that we need or what we know about, and get in these positions, they throw a smoke screen up, and this is that. This is about the beaches being clean. Somebody should know something about this. Somebody should be accountable. And what I'm saying about replenishing the beach, if something is working, what you going to fix it for? I don't see anything happening because Mother Nature is the boss. So I hope I haven't really offended anyone, and I hope it was taken in the context that it was meant to be. So that's my little piece, and thank you so much for listening to me. Have a good afternoon. Thank you again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks for that as well. And Ms. Marla, if I may just take the other call, and then we can chat before we go to the news.
Sure.
Okay. Welcome. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, hello. Hello, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can indeed.
Okay. My apologies for calling back.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
I just want to say, right? And I just want to be clear with what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I want the Cayman people to listen and be clear with what I'm saying here. Okay. I am saying that the report that we're looking at now is a one-sided report because we didn't really take into account all the stuff that we're supposed to take into account. So we're looking at a report, and the report basically said this is what's going to happen, and this is the cost of putting sandbags. This is the loss of what we have there now, right? That's what the report says, breaking it down, right? Okay, but it's a whole bunch of other things that should be in any report that we're going to look at, right? Okay, to give us a clear view of what the true costs are. We cannot look at a one-side report at one factor and make a decision, right? So if we're going to look at a report, we need to look at a holistic report, okay? Because if we look at the beach that's been washed away within the last 18 years, and we put sand back on the beach, where is it going to stay, right? Your guest keeps saying that our biggest issue that one of the reports that she read says is flooding and erosion. Well, that obviously says that if we put sand on the beach, it's going to be eroded again, right? So we need to look at this thing properly, okay? And if we're going to do a report and look at a report, it needs to take the Cayman people, what we're going to pay. It needs to take in account the places that are on the beach, the value of those places, if they went up 10 stories, what they would bring in construction costs, all this other stuff besides looking at one factor as in just putting sand on the beach, is what I'm saying, right? So I want to be clear by saying that. I'm not saying what she done in her report was not right or if it was wrong. I'm just saying that it should be a more extensive report to be even put in the public domain so we can make a clear decision and look at a clear report, right? Not based on one factor, is what I'm trying to say here.
Okay.
Thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Ms. Marla, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Thanks, Sterling. Because I just pulled up the report and was searching through it. It's a long report, and so I pulled up maybe what I think might address what this caller just mentioned and some callers before. And so I just want to read a bit from the report, where I'm saying that in 2020, a coastal works review by the Department of Environment stated that there is limited beach compatible sand for renourishment of 7 Mile Beach. And so this amplifies the need to take measures now to ensure that we have a longer term existence of the beaches. And it mentioned that beach renourishment now, as I mentioned earlier, can reinforce the circular sand economy on 7 Mile Beach. And if we don't engage in the beach renourishment, one of the reports was saying that there will be an irrecoverable loss of sand. So that I'm trying to emphasize the fact that if we don't do anything now, it's going to get progressively worse, as opposed to take, the whole a stitch in time saves 9 kind of idea. And then I also go on to say in the report that while beach renourishment itself is necessary, it may be insufficient in arresting beach erosion. In 2020, a coastal works review by the Department of Environment of a proposal to install groins and spot nourish a section of 7 Mile Beach instead recommended beach renourishment as a feasible solution. So this is reviewed by the Department of Environment. The Department of Environment review stated that, and I quote, a government-led renourishment exercise should be conducted along this coastline. And it also went on to, end quote, and it went on to offer specific recommendations, including selected local strategic retreat. Now, I have to go back to that report, but from my recollection, it did not give a cost and any specifics around what it means by, inverted commas, selected local strategic retreat. So again, I'm guessing that's what the caller was referencing when you talk about managed retreat. And while, yes, it sounds like we do need to contemplate that for the properties where you can see that it's affecting the what do you call that, setback and the amount of beach that's there or not there. I want to re-emphasize what the DHI report suggests, which is that renourishment can provide a buffer of time while longer-term policy measures are pursued. And they stated specifically, the beach itself provides protection so long as there is sufficient volume of sand present between coastal infrastructure and the sea. So it looks like, we need to look at the beach renourishment, which we have some costs around, as well as the quote-unquote selected local strategic retreat, except that as this caller and I just discussed earlier when he called in, we need to have numbers around that, right? Otherwise, we're making decisions in a vacuum. We need to have numbers around which properties we're talking about, what is the value of those properties, how much is it to demolish them, et cetera, what is the insurance payout going to be? What are the reconstruction costs going to be, et cetera? I mean, I think that we need a little more information around that specific intervention. And I guess the reason why this report didn't go into that level of detail is because it's based basically on specific properties, selected local strategic retreat, and we don't have the numbers around it from what I recall.
But this is where I'm, on a personal level, grateful for this public opportunity to have a discussion directly with you, speaking to whatever is in the public domain, and understanding that there are many points. Some, understandably, emotionally charged. Some looking at sort of the local landscape, recognizing that much of it, can be from just a personal affinity as much as driven by that, sort of individual ethos. So without this discussion, we may not be in a position to help to influence, policymakers. We have the scheduled 2 p.m. headlines. Ms. Marla, you have some more time to share with us when we come back?
Sure.
Okay. To our listeners, stay tuned, be informed, and join us right after.
Today.
Always and forever.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market.
I'm April Cummings with your headlines. 20 Caymanians and permanent residents earn accolades for reaching academic milestones in their accounting careers at the 16th Annual SEPA Awards Gala at the Kimpton Seafire Resort and Spa. Along with those 20 honorees who were recognized for having recently earned their bachelor's, master's, and or professional qualification, Suzanne Scott received the Rising Star Award, and Candace Zaramuskin received the Outstanding Member Award. In international headlines, new research says that Russia helped amplify and spread false and misleading internet claims about recent hurricanes in the U.S., and the federal government's response as part of a wider effort by the Kremlin to manipulate America's political discourse before the presidential election. The content, spread by Russian state media and networks of social media accounts and websites, criticized federal response to Hurricanes Helene and Milton, exploiting legitimate concerns about the recovery effort in an attempt to paint American leaders as incompetent and corrupt. The research is from the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, a London-based organization that tracks disinformation and online extremism. Boeing factory workers voted against the company's latest contract offer and remain on the picket lines, 6 weeks into a strike that has stopped production of the aerospace giant's best-selling jetliners. Local union leaders in Seattle said 64% of members of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers who cast ballots Wednesday voted against accepting the contract offer. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
The DVDL Customer Support Unit is now open. Customers can book appointments for written and driving tests through DVDL's hotline at 945-8344. That's 945-8344.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to Ms. Marla Dukharan for sharing with us. I'm very grateful that you're so gracious with your time and helping us start this discussion. So, for what it's worth, personally and publicly, thank you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. I'm grateful for the chance to discuss this report because it's, something I'm passionate about, and having the data, as long as I have data, I will talk till, you probably get so fed up and bored of me.
I'll let you know when that happens, okay?
Okay.
But this is where constructive, informed discussion allows us to have different opinion, and those, sometimes divergent views can bring us to a common place. One of my wonderful colleagues just said something that came from the DHI report. Says, and I'll just repeat this because you had already shared it a couple of times. It reads, along with storm, hold on, let me put on my glasses so I don't misquote. Along with storm intensity building, beach erosion is also attributed to the rise in sea level and the changes to offshore wave conditions. And the reason why I read that is that we're looking at something now, and I don't want, again, as respectful as I can emphasize, for us listening to conflate or confuse your report with what it is and all the other things that may be causing the effect or the consequence as to who is responsible or not. It's just an analysis of where we are, what is necessary, and if we don't do anything, potentially this will be the consequence. If we do it, this is the cost. Is that okay?
That's correct.
Okay, so this is why I keep saying to people, economics in schools should be one of the core subjects because it gets you to speak to something in a way that is dispassionate. And whenever you look at the sort of the society/emotive aspect, there's the qualitative part that has to be balanced against the quantitative. It's an analysis and a mindset that training is invaluable. But then again, I love economics, right? So
we are biased.
No,
in our love for economics, yes.
But it's such a fundamental discussion because it touches and concerns all our lives every day. So in saying that, can I then ask, only if you think it's important, we know in the public domain that this report was not commissioned by the government. A private entity did that with potential view as to how it can inform their actions and or influence the public agenda. Do you want to speak to that in any respect?
In terms of whether that means that I'm biased?
No, I would not. But thanks for clarifying that. No, I'm not suggesting or even want to, but thank you for putting that on the table. No, not inferring that at all.
Yeah, no, I mean, of course, that's an obvious question people would ask. And, I think that, okay, I suppose there have been instances in the past where, people have purported to do independent and objective research when in fact it was not.
Right.
And so we know that this happens. I would say categorically that, when, I do economic impact assessments across the Caribbean, not just in Cayman. And my position is always clear. Like, I'm not going to, if you want a PR exercise, you've come to the wrong person,
Right.
Move along and go find a PR firm. That's not who I am, because I will put all of the data as objectively and clearly as I can. And based on my analysis, I will tell you what my findings are. And that's what it is. Then, it's up to you whether you want to share it or not. So I would imagine that if I concluded that beach renourishment is unnecessary and everybody on the whole of 7 Mile Beach that has properties need to be demolished or something like that, I would imagine that would have said, well, we just not released in this report and that's it, later, bye, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I don't have an attachment to whether it's published or not.
Right.
But it just so happened, and again, my position and my analysis has nothing. I cannot comment on what is necessary for 7 Mile Beach for us to maintain what we have, because I am not the expert, on these matters. I am an economist. What my role was to say, okay, you have these 3 independent studies done. The government, well, not independent. The government did one, DHI did one, CRIF did one. And all 3 of them concluded that unless we do something, you're going to suffer more and more losses.
Right.
Because as the sand erodes, then it's a cycle, right? My role was to basically say, if you don't do anything, this is what you're going to lose.
Right.
And so I read these experts' reports, look at what they're saying is going to happen, and I calculate what you're going to lose. And so that's what my analysis shows. But I, again, in looking at those reports, I will cite the evidence of what they're saying is going to happen and what is the solution. And like I said earlier, where they said beach renourishment now can reinforce the circular sand economy on 7 Mile Beach. Otherwise, there will be an irrecoverable loss of sand. That's an important element to bear in mind.
Right.
Whether or not we talk about managed retreat, the fact is the sand will be lost irrecoverably unless we put some back so that it can add to that re-nourishment, that circular sand economy, right? So I just want to emphasize that this is if we do things, if we do what the experts say are the solutions, then we can save on the costs and the losses that I've calculated we are likely to lose.
All right. And before I comment on what you just shared, let us take this next call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hello.
Afternoon, sir. How are you?
Yeah, good afternoon to your guests and to yourself there.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sterling. You know, I hear a lot of talk, and it's so limited. It is limited to sand loss just on the West Bay Beach. Another area where sand is very important to us is the sandbar in the North Sound. And when we look internationally at the problems in the tropical areas, and it's been identified what has caused sand loss, is the source of sand comes from corals and shells. That's it. Tropical beaches, nothing else. Unless you have a river. And if you have a river flowing down, most of the time that will smother the corals. But for us here, tropical island, without a river, our sand only comes from the corals.
Mm-hmm.
We know from the studies that have been done internationally and otherwise, a matter of fact, we know as far back as the late 70s when the sewage treatment plant was put in. That was supposed to be the beginning of an island-wide sewage treatment system. We were told that the plans were going to be for new homes, that the septic tank couldn't be at the back of the house, it had to be at the side or in the front. And the original talk was that you had to run a pipe from the septic tank to the edge of the road to hook up. Because it has been known that inadequately treated sewage wreaks havoc in the marine environment. It kills the marine environment. So what we have seen happen here has actually been something that's been in the making from 1955, when the road system started to be constructed. Sand was taken by the millions of cubic yards off of the beach, all beaches, but especially the West Bay Beach. And then also in the late 50s, when construction changed from wooden homes to concrete homes, again, the beach sand. And this is you can look it up, look up the tragedy of the commons. Because it was there, they thought anybody could take it without any accountability to nature for it. And we thought that because you could put a deep water well, a deep well coming out from a septic tank into the ground, you got it out of sight, out of mind, it's gone. No more problems. We thought we could dump all that into the underground and that it wouldn't come out into the sea and wreak havoc on the beaches. Two types of coral produce a majority of the sand that we have on our beaches: staghorn and elkhorn coral, shallow water coral. We have allowed also the nutrients from the sewage to go into the sea. You have the turtle farm, for instance, millions of gallons a day of raw mammalian poop from the dolphins and from the turtles to be dumped into the sea. There's hardly any staghorn or elkhorn coral left in the Cayman Islands. So we have lost our supply of sand. And because of that, we've had less and less sand. The sea has come to the building. Royal Palms, Coral Caymanian, we had about 150 feet of beach back in 55. I know it. I was there. I tell the world I'm only 19, but my body tells me something else. So I remember. I know the amount of sand we had there. I know how high the sand was at where is a public beach next door to the Kimpton, that public beach. That was about 25, 30 feet high. Again, they took all the sand from that. They built the runway with it at the airport. And in other countries, Hawaii, for instance, they have done the studies, they found out. In the late 1980s, University of Georgia found out, they identified the human pathogen that is in the human gut. And if you don't take it out, they know that it kills the corals. In the Florida Keys, the 70 keys that are inhabited, no more new septic tanks are going in. Those that are there are either pumped out and taken to, like the way you pick up garbage, they pick up poop, and it is taken to a processing plant, or the various islands are putting it in to treat it, to remove the nutrients, and to kill the pathogen.
Now, Mr. Billy, I again want to publicly invite you to come in and talk specifically about that environmental impact. But for my benefit, perhaps, given what you shared, the historical context and the consequence of our actions and inactions to date, and looking at the socioeconomic impact that Ms. Marla did on this beach renourishment for 7 Mile Beach, how do we look at where we are and the consequences that we're facing now and tie them together so we do the right thing in the right way at the right time?
You asking me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Don't ask me. You have to ask the business community.
Okay, so you and I are now in charge. I'm the premier and you're my deputy, and the two of us having discussion, and our decisions are going to be the ones that decide. Tell me what we're going to do. Because the reason why I'm asking is I'm not trying to inflame or offend, but we understand whether we accept it or not, that something has happened, right or wrong, and it's historical. We can't unring the bell. Knowing that we can't rewind the hands of time to undo what has been, what do we do now so that when my son looks me in the eye, or his great-granddaughter, that I can say, boy, I tried, and, because we've failed and we're failing.
It's very simple, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's not very hard. You do need to do some form of renourishment in some areas.
Okay.
Simultaneously, you need to find a way to finance a very, very expensive project to put in a sewage system throughout the island.
Okay.
So that we can get the corals to come back, and nature will do what it had done for so many years.
Okay.
Build up the beautiful West Bay Beach again.
Okay. All right.
And in Key West, they put theirs in 2022, in March of 2022, and they are already seeing the corals beginning to come back.
In just 2 years?
In just 2 years.
All right.
They're seeing where the corals had died off. They're coming back naturally. They didn't try to spawn them or anything.
So
you can speed up the process because they now know how to breed coral. You can breed it and you can seed it. But to breed and to put coral out in the Cayman waters is utter stupidity, because you put it there and they're going to kill it.
Okay.
That's like if you have a chicken farm and you put all the eggs out in the road and let the truck run over it, then you wonder where you're going to get the eggs from next year.
Okay. So, Mr. Bill, what I'm hearing from you then, and this is my inference, right? What I'm hearing you say is we need the will, the political and the societal will to do what we've been unwilling to do. As Mr. Maker would say, the courage.
And they've known it.
Okay.
The government has known it for all these years.
All right.
We subsidize development because we don't collect the money
All right.
for infrastructure.
Yeah. Mr. Billy, just in the interest of time, we're going to take this quick break. Thank you for sharing. Ms. Marla will come back to you, and thanks again for your extended time. To our listeners, stay tuned.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Stay cyber secure with Cayman National. Here are a few tips that will benefit you. Ensure to log out completely when you finish any online banking activities. Be aware of phishing attempts and only click links from trusted sources that are sent from your device through emails and messages. Remember, Cayman National will never ask you for your credentials. If you suspect a fraud attempt or that your account has been compromised, please immediately contact our customer support team at 949-8300.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And on the phone is our guest, noted Caribbean economist and advisor, Ms. Marla Dukharan. Hey, thank you for your time, Ms. Marla. Hopefully you're having fun as well.
For sure, and thanks for having me. It is my honor and my pleasure.
All right, before we take this other call, and that may be the last for now, anything quickly you may want to share, and then we'll take the call and then return to you.
Well, I appreciate what the last caller gave lots of historical context, and some of that is some real scary stuff in terms of, the level of inaction. Yeah, that's obviously not acceptable. I hope that this will not be a similar story of 7 Mile Beach. Already we have Mount Rushmore that seems to be a never-ending story of inaction. I really hope that something is done.
It's timely. I mean, it's long overdue, but our future depends on it, right? All right. This is where I tell people, politics and economics touch our lives daily, and we should not shy away from it. But I may get accused of campaigning. That'll come next year. Let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
How are you, my friend?
Okay, and also your guest was Dukharan.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Yes, I listened to the talk show rather late. However, I caught the last caller, and some interesting things he was saying there. However, I was wondering, whilst Ms. Dukharan, I gather, is not delving into the causes of this beach erosion and the 7 Mile, I'm wondering in any of her reports, has she made reference to the one done by the scientists at Louisiana University, who was done over, I think it's like a decade or something like that, concerning the movement of sand, where Mr. Kem Jackson was involved in, and it talked about the lagoons and so forth. The North Sound, of course, being a lagoon, and how we had the transportation of sand around the island. I was wondering if she had come across that in her research.
I don't. That this was specific to 7 Mile Beach.
It was for the Cayman. It was for the Cayman, Grand Cayman as a whole.
Okay, I don't.
It spoke about how the transportation of sand due to the currents and so forth.
Do you have access to that report, sir?
Hello?
Do you have access to that report still?
Yes, I certainly do.
Okay, would you be kind to share it with me that I can perhaps forward it along to anybody else who wants it? It is another in the public domain, but if you have really access to it, maybe that's just something else that we need to be reminded, because that was done, was that late 70s or the early 80s, I think it was? Or did,
I think it sort of straddles the 2 decades somewhere.
Louisiana State and then the professor, right?
70s to 80s somewhere.
Okay, so send it to us.
The author of the report is still alive, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
And interestingly, a good friend of mine, he consulted with the author, and the author was able to, how should I say it, delineate the effect of placing a seawall in the active in the active beach.
Yeah, but send it, please. I mean, the Louisiana State University did it, Mr. Kim.
Yeah, I'm on WhatsApp with I'm on LinkedIn with Ms. Dukharan, so I'll send it to her as well.
Yeah. All right. So thank you for that.
Sure.
All right. And I look forward to receiving it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See, came on. Community cooperates. Yes, Marla. It's just 3 minutes in. Thank you for this extended 2 hours. And if you send me a bill, I'll pass it to the government for you, okay? Checks in the mail.
There'll be no such bill. No, I appreciate the opportunity to discuss the report. And again, I want to emphasize the importance of having numbers and an impartial analysis of the numbers before we make a decision. But I also want to emphasize that we have to be sure we don't end up in analysis paralysis, right? We have studies, we have numbers, we have an economic impact assessment that says we have to do something. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago or today, okay? We didn't do what we should have done 20 years ago, but we need to do it now. Otherwise, 20 years from now, we're going to be looking back and say, oh, we should have, could have, would have, right?
Yeah.
And I really hope that something is done.
Well, this is where having you, with Kathy on the buzz on Tuesday morning and, coming back for an extended sort of discussion should allow us as a listening public to recognize a couple of things, not only what was shared publicly, but perhaps what has been unsaid that may inspire us to give some thought to our actions and inactions. And maybe we'll see that there's emotion, but sometimes there are other things that can drive us other than just that sentiment of the gut feeling. Can we balance that with informed intellect and analysis? So I'm mindful that we'll get there, but we have to, because our future depends on it.
Absolutely.
In closing, if we were looking at something, I would share that you were saying, sometimes the status quo makes sense and sometimes it doesn't. And in this case, we see the consequence of not doing. What would you like to share with us in closing in relation to this report in particular?
Well, I think it's certainly important to recognize that irrespective of whatever structures might be there and whatever losses to the corals, as the last caller discussed, or the caller before him discussed, irrespective of all of the various causes, we know that we have the sea level rise problem that has nothing to do with us, and we have no control over that. As a matter of fact, we in the Caribbean are always, I think, struggling to sort of become more ecologically sustainable. But even if we were all net zero, we wouldn't make a difference in the global scale because we account for less than 2% of the global carbon emissions, right? So the point is this sea level rise is here with us, whether we like it or not. And so irrespective of the other potential causes of beach erosion at 7 Mile Beach, we know that this particular cause is one we cannot control and it's going to continue. And so we have to do something. And if it is that as these reports these studies identified that the beach renourishment can put sand there that will cause the natural circular economy of sand to regenerate and will buy us some more time, to me, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, I hope to be able to have, your company as often as we can, and really grateful. And perhaps, if you don't mind, maybe I can invite our listeners and direct them to a number of your publications. And as you said, I'm thinking of one of the more recent that I read in relation to some of the things that are happening in the Caribbean region as a whole, and look at it in light of, sort of our colonial past. Maybe that help us to be informed as to where we are in relation to food security, or trade deficit, or reliance on foreign exchange, and some of our political sort of, machinations, as it were.
That's a whole other discussion for a whole other day stilling. But happy to have that discussion too. That one gets me fired up every time. All
right, well, sounds like that one. We got to sit down, and I'll have, because I'll have a cake, you can cut a slice of prune if you prefer. But
yeah, man.
Maybe I was looking to see if I could recall it verbatim, but I don't. But maybe I could ask you if people are looking for that, where they could find it, and what's the name of that report, and hopefully they'll read it. And when we have that discussion, they'll be a better position to comment.
Yeah, it's if you go to my website www.marladukharan.com, and you go to where it says Insights. It's which is the on the top right hand corner. It says Insights. It's the 4th Distinguished Owen Arthur Memorial Lecture that I recently delivered in Barbados. And basically, I'm just talking about the whole issue of tax justice and how the OECD countries are the ones that are the most prolific tax havens, yet they're managed through their propaganda and institutionalized racism to label us as the problem, when in fact they are the biggest and most prolific tax havens, and all kinds of other issues around tax justice in that analysis. Or you can just Google 4th Distinguished Owen Arthur Memorial Lecture. It's there as well.
And thank you. This is where not just academia helps to inform, but when people, if you allow me to say it publicly, have the fortitude, the intellect, the ambition, and the courage. And this is where, as Cayman, recognizing its women, but the Caribbean in particular, we draw strength from your courage. So thanks very much. And in closing, partially, maybe your listeners ascribe to you a greater insight than perhaps you would want. But this one says, if I can ask my guests, what you think on the cruise ships, dumping garbage at sea.
Oh my God!
Our listeners expect much of you, Mom. But I won't do that now.
We'll talk about that another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think cruise tourism, you look at Haiti, Labadee Island, and if you look at St. Martin, that they put all of their eggs in that basket, and where did that get them?
Yeah.
But we can have that discussion another day.
See, I tell you, man, and Christmas coming, we have a lot to talk about. But thank you.
So we'll have the slice of pork and the glass of sorrel, and we'll chat.
There you go. And we may even do it in the studio.
For sure.
All right. Have a great afternoon. Huh?
Okay. Thank you, Sterling. Take care.
All the best.
And good afternoon to all your listeners. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you again. That was Miss Marla Dukharan, and as she shared, go to her website. But when we are, of a particular persuasion and recognizing the importance of the courage, and if you're on the fence about whether you should, be reminded that you do and you can and you must, just like the women of yesterday. We want to raise our children of today to do likewise and to stand in the gap and to recognize that it isn't just that our future depends on it, but as I've been inclined to share more recently, as we age and our children come of age, it is imperative, incumbent upon us to just do that. We need to stand in the gap. It doesn't matter where you are and who you think you are and what you've done or wish to do or what political or religious persuasion you may be or where you see your economic status or your educational and academic endeavors. We live, we love, we laugh, and be reminded that we all flesh, blood, and bone. So we are more alike than we are different. And to our friends in the Indian community who have reminded us yesterday, as they celebrate Diwali, that strength in unity, that brings us together. And let's see how we can, as a diverse, sort of fiery country with many nationalities, we can be united if we share a common objective. Honored to sit in this seat, and I'm looking forward to what tomorrow unfolds as I give thanks for today. I invite you to do the same. Tomorrow's a Friday, right, Miss Susan? She said, yeah, you got it right today. Well, as we ask you on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, holidays notwithstanding, to join Mr. Art as you will tomorrow morning for more For the Record, and then come back for Talk Today. Friends from one of the ministries in the chief office will join us. We want to know what. I'll tell you then. And then hopefully the young entrepreneur will bring to the studio his insight, intellect, his ambition and aspiration as we encourage him. Well, that's on tomorrow's schedule. I've done my work. I got more to do. But I give thanks for now. So will you. Be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.